And the next thing that you got to do is look down inside the bolt hole, and you will probably see some of the Gorilla Glue in there. The tool for getting that out, where did I put it? Here we go. Right here. When I do a tote, I do the knob at the same time. Even though it might have looked good, I want the color to match, the finish to match. So I've already scraped, sanded. Well, I haven't sanded, I've just scraped this knob right here. I'm going to show you how I sand them. I found the easiest way to sand the knobs is to get a 1/4 inch bolt, wrap a whole bunch of duct tape around one end of it, so it's just about the size of what the hole is, the big hole in the bottom of your knob, and then insert it, push the knob all the way down against the duct tape so it holds it tight, and then you put it in your drill press. If you don't have one of these modern drill presses, well, this one's not exactly modern, antique. What you can do, probably, I've never tried it, but just put it into a hand drill and do the same thing. I start out with a 150 grit, taking care, wherever there's a sharp edge, you don't want to round them off. Just like doing it on a lathe. Go from sandpaper to the sand block. And then steel wool. Be careful you don't round the top or bottom too close, because you'll grab the steel wool and wrap it. Fingers too. And this is what I use right here. I like the results that the Minwax gel stain gives me. You don't have to stain your tote knob, but my experience has been that the end result is better. They match better if you do this, and they actually look better. It's going to cover up discoloration imperfections that might be down inside the open. This is an open grain rosewood. Some rosewood is nice and tight and easier to finish, but real simple. Just put on the stain, and the tote is done. Stain applied. Same thing with the knob. No set time. Just wipe it off. So that's it. The tote and knob have been stained, wiped off. Sometimes you get some stain down inside the openings here. You can take small Q-tips, wipe it around, and now tote is repaired. Can't see the crack, and it's ready for lacquer. I apply the lacquer over here in my high-tech paint booth. I like to use the Minwax lacquer, clear satin. The first coat is a really light mist, and it only takes a minute or two for that light mist to dry. The second coat is a full coat, not as light as the first one. And if you're in a hurry, you can speed up the process by putting it into the high-tech accelerated drying booth. After 4 coats of lacquer, I've got a knob that looks pretty good, and I've got a tote that all that open grain just accentuates the imperfection in the finish. So now it's time to repeat the sanding process. The knob looks pretty smooth. It doesn't require any aggressive sanding. You don't want to sand off the lacquer all the way that you put on. So for that, I'm going to use the sanding block just to smooth it up. Then I go back to my 3/0 steel wool. Give it a quick once over. And the knob is looking really good. There's a closer look at it. So the tote's a little bit trickier than the knob because of the open pores of the grain. So I'm back to my sanding block, and I'm going to gently sand, keeping an eye on what I'm doing. You can see the dullness of the lacquer where you're taking it down, and you're going to go over the entire thing, trying to even it up as much as you can all the way around. The sides are always the worst with the open grain. I use the sanding block for the flat sides. Now I'm switched over to some paper to do the rest of it. You're not going to do it all in one shot. So be patient. Multiple coatings are going to be required. And in the end, you're going to have a really nice looking tote. I think I'm done with the paper. And just like the first time through, we move on to the sponge. You put more pressure on the sponge than you do the sandpaper. I like to use the sponges that are kind of worn already before I even put them to the wood. And after the sponge, we're back to the 3/0 steel wool. Always with the grain. So with the steel wool done, we're back to starting the whole process over again with the coatings. I'm not going to repeat that because you've seen it, but you always start with that really light mist coat. If you don't, you're probably going to regret it. And then it's a buildup of lacquer again. It's probably going to take at least another 4 coats over top of this before we're ready to look at it. So I applied 3 more coats to the tote knob. The knob is done. It's just going to need sanded with the sponge sander and the 3/0 steel wool. The tote is going to require the same thing, sponge sander and steel wool, and then a couple finish coats of lacquer, and it should be done. So at this point, the tote knob had probably 8 or 9 coats of lacquer. I always start with really super thin mist coats. The tote is good, done, beautiful. I'm sorry, the knob. And you can see a really huge improvement in the tote as far as filling in that open grain. There's just a little bit more left. Going to go through the process one more time. So I've added 3 more coats, maybe 4 to the tote, and back to the sponge sanding. So after the lacquer has been dulled all the way around, smoothed out, no shiny spots, and don't worry about losing the shine here because it's going to come back. Then you switch back over to the 4/0 or the 3/0 steel wool, and this is going to start the shine coming back, but it's going to be more of a natural aged looking shine to it. And after the steel wool is done, you can take just a regular old blue shop towel and it'll kind of buff it up. And if that doesn't give you enough of a shine, then you can apply your favorite paste wax. And here's a look at how they look when the finish is done. I'm going to wax them. If it weren't for that flea bite out of the top of the tote right there, that thing would be really beautiful. And here's a look at the tote knob after I put a little wax on them. No sign whatsoever of the break. That's a pretty tote. What you see there in the corner of the casting is where a piece was broke out. So I welded it back in. Of course, it's never going to match, but it looks better than when it's missing. And the same thing on the other side. This side had just a little bit smaller chunk missing. And there's another good close-up of where the break was on the tote. It's just not there anymore. I guess I should give this one a test drive. I've got my 1 5/8 inch poplar in the vise. We're going to see what she'll do. Nice and smooth. shavings are piling up. Yep. Look at that. You can see through them. Good job. I would definitely call that a successful tote repair. And that old number 4 produced a 1.5 1/1000th of an inch shavings. It'll make somebody a good user. Not exactly a collector piece because of the damage to those back corners. So there, now you know how to do tote repairs. Hope you enjoyed this video and learned something. I'm going to start doing more how-tos every once in a while, so stay tuned. Time for supper. Bye.